is so big that even from the top of Ben Lomond it's hard to see it as a whole. Today I'm in for a great treat. I'm going up in a hot air balloon any second now. Well, it's a mighty big balloon, John. I had no idea they were so big.
It's 77,000 cubic feet. It's about 80 feet high and 50 feet across.
And this wee basket that we're in, I'm surprised it's so small with these big cylinders.
Well, it's comfortable enough, isn't it?
The thing that puzzles me is, you know, when you were blowing it up, it went up so quickly. And then there was a certain point when the basket lifted off the ground with real dynamism. And every time you turn that wee key, something happens. What actually happens?
Well, that's letting the propane through, and then that catches light with the pilot light. And that's producing something like the equivalent of 800 gas ovens full on, about 14 or 15 million BTHUs. So that'll power us up into the sky pretty quickly.
So it's the heat of the air inside that keeps the balloon up?
That's right, that's right. Well, we're running the balloon at the moment about 100 degrees centigrade inside, and it's, what, 17, 18 degrees centigrade outside. So that gives us, what, 80, 83 degrees difference. And that's enough. The difference in density is enough to lift us up. And all we're doing is we're just riding a bubble of hot air. We've trapped the hot air in a nylon bag, and we're just hanging on underneath.
And as it cools down, you're giving it a wee boost to keep it up?
That's right. Otherwise, if it cools down, we start going down.
Now steering. There's no steering wheel in the balloon. How do you get to your course?
Well, we only go downwind. We don't have a choice. We just go with the wind. But we could be a bit more scientific than that, because at different altitudes, the wind's going in different levels. So today, if we stay low, we'd probably cross Loch Lomond. If we go high, then we go right up Loch Lomond, because the wind's from the south at 2,000 feet. So by adjusting our altitude between 2,000 feet and a couple of hundred feet, we can either cross Loch Lomond or go right up it.
So you are reading the clouds and the general shape of the landscape?
That's right. The wind will, much like water, it'll funnel between the mountains, and it'll, of course, carry us with us.
How many hours have you been spending ballooning in your life, John?
I've got about 1,200 or 1,300 hours. I've been flying for nearly 12 years now, and had a few moments of excitement, but the great thing about ballooning is every flight is different. You never know where you're going, and so it always retains that freshness, and that's why it's kept my interest over the years.
Well, I'll tell you why I feel safe in this balloon, because you built it yourself.
That's right. I was working as a balloon manufacturer a few years ago, and this was my goodbye present when I left. And we had a team of seamstresses and welders and basket makers, but I designed the balloon, and I think it's a good one, and it's certainly proved its worth over the last few years.
That's Balmaha Bay, and what a nice wee horseshoe shape it appears from this position, with Conic Hill forming the ridge of the Highland Boundary Fault. To Loch Lomond lovers, Balmaha has always been a magic name, the place to hire a boat and go fishing, or launch a canoe to explore the islands. Under Ben Lomond, the loch is over 600 feet below sea level, where the moving glaciers were compressed by the hard rocks, so they had to bulldoze deeply, and the loch couldn't spread out until it met the softer rocks. The wild eastern shore hasn't a road on it, only a path called the West Highland Way. From the swinging basket, you only have to turn your head to take in the full sweep of the scenery, the River Endrick coming in and the islands close by. This is a really spectacular way of seeing Loch Lomond, and very different from the more conventional way I first got to know it. I would be about 15 when I first met the backpackers, men who travelled light and came to terms with nature as they found it. They're not youngsters now, but they're still enjoying the loch in the old simple way. There's something magical about a fire, and my earliest memory of Loch Lomond is coming down the loch in the evenings after a day in the bike, and everywhere along the loch shore were the fires of men like myself, who'd been out from Glasgow, getting as far north as Tarbert, even further, and then coming down at night, lighting up, and then heading back. Well, that was in the 30s. That was the great era, the beginning of the outdoor movement, for me. But long before my time, in a wood just to the outskirts of Mulgai, Cregalion Woods, there was a fire which had become a kind of magnet for the people who were really determined to explore Scotland. And some of these men were legendary names to me. One was Jock Nimlin. He was a great climber of his day. And other folk used to talk to me about Bob Grieve. They were both Mary Hill men. And they're with me now, here on Loch Lomond side, to talk about the old days.